These are always scary. Get out of here.
I'm so focused on like figuring out the perfect YouTube video.
So the first thing I want to talk about, you obviously found a lot of success on TikTok. So I'm incredibly curious what your team, if any team, like what team members you have, because what I've noticed is a lot of TikTok creators, it's not like synergistic with what a YouTuber would have, which is like an editor and a production person and a creative person. So what, early on, like what was your TikTok strategy? Was it just you and you were coming up with everything?
So yeah, so it was just me initially, and I had a friend at the time who like kind of understood TikTok, wasn't in the TikTok world whatsoever, but he had that kind of creative mind and understood my creative mind. So we would work together and just kind of come up with really original content. And especially starting off, I just wanted to kind of stand out from everyone else. And I noticed that me posting original content did really well for me. I would post little skits, relatable things that were about probably 30 seconds, no longer than 40 seconds. And that was doing the best for me. I would take trends. And so these were like considered my filler videos. So I would do my original content skits, whatever. And then I would do a TikTok trend, but tweak it a little bit. There was a TikTok trend where people would like spit water out of their mouth. And so what I did is I took that trend and I spit water out of my mouth, but I had it as a freeze frame. So the water stayed in the air. And so what really helped me was honestly just showing that I was different and I wasn't like anyone else, because on TikTok, literally what TikTok is just trends. And so everyone's doing the same dances and it's very hard for one person to blow up when they're doing the same dance as everyone else. So I would sprinkle in a dance here, an original skit here, a trend here that I tweaked to be most like me. And that's what was really working for me. And yeah.
Do you still trend jack on TikTok? Will you go on the platform, see what's popular and then film? Or will you come up with original ideas now because of how much success you've had and then just film those ideas?
Still a little bit of both. I've found the most success in that is still following the algorithm that TikTok pushes out, which is literally trends. But I feel like my original content might be doing a little bit better because I have such a following now, because people followed me for this specific reason. For the longest time, I was doing like little episodes and series. So I started this little series called The Kardashians, where it was kind of like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, where I had each character was myself and I just dressed up in a different outfit. And I had Snapchat, I had Facebook. Facebook was like the old lady. And so people really liked that because I was showing like my personality. I wasn't just using audios, I was showcasing my voice and who I am as a person. I think people really connected with that.
Yeah. And so did you always want to be a content creator? Was that the thinking?
I loved being behind the camera. I started editing videos like when I was 12 years old, just like stupid videos on iMovie with like the worst sound effects and the worst effects ever.
That's how everyone starts.
I know, they do. But that's where I found my love, that I love editing. But then I also found out that I like being in front of the camera because I've been acting my entire life. Didn't really land a lot of huge roles, but I loved being in front of the camera and just entertaining. And so started acting, stopped acting, and I got older and I was like, I want to get myself back out there. So I started improv. I started acting classes, and that helped me be more comfortable and authentic in front of the camera. At first, I was just really awkward in front of the camera, and I was like, this is not gonna get me anywhere. But then eventually I got more comfortable, and that led me to really find a passion for being in front of the camera just as much as behind the camera, and social media was that perfect balance of both.
Did you have the awareness to say, hey, I'm maybe a little awkward on camera?
Most
or
definitely.
Did someone tell you that?
No, most definitely. No one told me, but I knew my potential, and I would watch these videos and I was like, I know this isn't as good as I can be, because again, we talked about this before we started, I'm really competitive. So I want to be just like, I want to give my best to everything that I do. And so I knew, I was like, okay, how can I get better at this? How I feel myself being really awkward and not myself on camera. How can I adapt and keep growing? And so I would just keep going. And nobody really told me that I was awkward. I I just knew. Like, I know when my videos are cringy. Like, you know what I mean? I have a lot of self-awareness.
That's a good superpower, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will just continue creating the same content and never be aware that maybe that is an issue. And like, why is my average view duration so bad? Maybe it's because I'm awkward in front of the camera.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So there's a lot of self-awareness
Definitely.
to just be able to identify that.
Definitely. And I think that's also what I've incorporated into all of my content as well, is I have a lot of like, I have like a self-deprecating sense of humor. So I'll be like, well, that was weird. You know, like I'll be sure to shine light on that and let the audience know that, yeah, I know that was weird, but that's also me and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So how you said that TikTok is incredibly oversaturated and everyone's doing the same trends. If you're a new creator starting out today, I'm guessing your advice would be like start on TikTok because of the discoverability, but how do you stand out now? Like if someone's first starting on TikTok, are they still doing the trends that are popping off every day and those hashtags?
I would say no. I think that's what people mistake most often is they try doing the trends. They try doing the same dances that Addison Rae is doing and Charlie. Those two creators are kind of an anomaly, and it's very rare for that to happen where you literally just do the trends and you blow up. I think it's very important to like get yourself out there and show that you are different because there are so many different people doing the same thing. So, I mean, like, kind of like how I started, I would suggest doing for other people is following the trends because that's what TikTok pushes out most often, but make it your own so that people are just kind of like, okay, this one was a little bit different. That sticks in my brain a little bit longer. Yeah. As well as figuring out what you're best at. For me, I've later found out I was best at comedy videos, doing relatable stuff, and not everyone is doing that. Some people are doing a little bit more informative stuff, and so I think to also look for inspiration through other creators who are doing kind of a similar thing that you want to be doing is extremely important.
Yeah, totally agree. So you and I just sat in on MrBeast's keynote. So we're at Vid Summit in LA. Was there any takeaways that you had from his speech? Because I know he talks about like CTR and ABD. I get to listen to him every day.
Yeah.
So it's like listening to that speech is like him talking to me and hounding me with this stuff every single day. Was there any like takeaways that you had from that speech?
Yeah, so it's so interesting. I am more of like the creative side. I've never been good at math. So for him to talk about analytics and like the different data and the graphs and stuff, it's like mind-boggling to me because I'm like, wait a second, that's a thing on YouTube Studio that I can look at and have intel for bettering my videos in the future. And so honestly, like when he was showing his view duration and his click-through rate, like I'm like, I need to look a little bit more into that. I think that's something that I'm lacking. I'm looking at more of the creative side, but just like the creative side, you have to even that out with looking at analytics and seeing what is working and what is not, because you could be potentially wasting a lot of your time. Yeah.
He's unique because he's incredibly creative, as you can see from his videos. Yep. But he also is so analytically sound and he understands the data and he takes time to like find things that he thinks are gonna make a difference. And so I think for you in that situation, it'd be interesting to see like how, you know, because now you know like what his average view durations are. Like he showed some of his click-through rates, which are insane numbers. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if a lot of creators go back and say, okay, how do my videos compare to someone who's doing 60 million views a video? Because his average view durations are 60+%. Yeah. Right? Have you looked at those? Do you know what your numbers are?
I do. Right now, I have a lot shorter videos than MrBeast, but like my view duration ranges from like 60 to 65%, which I after watching MrBeast talk about how your video should maybe have like a storyline throughout the entire video and give you that payoff at the very end and have that intro that goes with the thumbnail and the title. I'm like, okay, how can I maximize that? How can I make sure that my view duration is even longer and give people a reason to watch throughout the entire video? But yeah, I learned a lot, and I'm like jotting everything down in my notes. I'm like, okay, I might be doing that wrong. Let's try this out.
Yeah, so he talked about something pretty interesting, and it was an intro. And so I've literally watched this kid try and film an intro for 5 hours straight.
Really?
And the intro ends up being like 4 seconds, but it takes him like 5 hours to get that 4 seconds of a video because it's after people click and after they see the title and the thumbnail, it now is the most important part is like, how do you keep them staying for the first 10 seconds of that video? Because then they'll watch the rest of that video, usually in his case. And so have you even thought about like, should I script my intros? Or when the camera turns on, are you just like, okay, I have an intro, and I know what I'm saying.
So I have a really interesting thing. So I would write like 1,000 essays in high school, you know, and in English class they teach you, okay, in your essays you want to have the attention grabber, which is literally what MrBeast said is like the first 30 seconds is the most important. And so I kind of implemented that into my content by having an intro. Mine's a little bit different than MrBeast. I don't know if this is the right or the wrong idea, but he said, okay, tell the audience what you're going to be doing in this video so that people know exactly from the get-go. What I've been doing is creating an intro that's different every single time, only lasts about 25, 30 seconds, and it's kind of the same duration as a TikTok, and that was kind of my mindset is people have shorter attention spans nowadays. So I want to be able to make it enticing, something different every time. Kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen The Office, but in The Office, the first intro part of it.
Hasn't everyone seen The Office?
I know, right? It's my favorite show ever. But in The Office, this is where I got this from, is every time before they have their little theme song, they have a different intro every single time.
Yeah.
So I took from that, and sometimes I'll do like a cool little edit where I'm like, what if my intro never ended? And then it just keeps going on the TV and it just keeps going and going and it's infinite. Sometimes I'll do a pun where I'm like, oh man, yesterday I dropped my steak and now it's ground beef. Like stupid stuff that kind of showcase my personality, showcase my creativity. But now after watching MrBeast, I'm wondering and I'm questioning myself, do I continue on these, which my audience seems to love? My view duration is pretty great, just for at least the first 30 seconds. And all of my comments have to do with, I love her intro. She doesn't say, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. She just gets right into the video, which I think is extremely important. But now I'm wondering, okay, do I alter my intros now to, maybe I keep those puns, maybe I keep that creativity, but now do I turn it into something that relates at least to the title and thumbnail?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's the better route.
Yeah, and the ultimate, like, the thing that he was trying to get across is like, a lot of YouTubers will drag on for 20 seconds about what this video is, or he'll just be like, this is a circle. Anything you fit in it, I'll pay for.
So
onto
simple.
the video, right? So it's like he identifies the title and what people clicked on within the first like 5 seconds. And so it's like, it shows in his average view duration. And now it's like, can you get 15, 20% CTR?
Yeah.
Right, and that's like his ability to get those numbers now 60, 70, 100 million views in some of the examples. So it's been incredible to watch, like in my 3 years of working with him.
Definitely. It's just insane.
Was the strategy always, let's build a TikTok audience and then let's start building a YouTube audience? Or was it just like, I know I'm eventually gonna do YouTube, but I wanna just start with TikTok first to build a community?
So I started on TikTok, and TikTok was easier for me to understand what kind of content I wanted to share with the world. YouTube, even still to this day, I'm trying to figure out what my style of content is. Am I a storyteller? Do I want to have just quick, short bits? Like, what is it that I want to do? What am I best at? So I'm still trying to figure out YouTube. So TikTok I didn't necessarily think of it as, okay, I'm going to start on TikTok, then transfer over to YouTube. It was more like TikTok came a little bit easier to me. I just wanted to grab people's attention, show them my little relatable video where it's like, okay, the worst things happen when you're running late. Something relatable, something like 3 quick things that have happened. I showcase my personality, I showcase my facial expressions, and just something that the audience can relate to. And that's just how it kind of went down. It was easier for me. It came more naturally to me on TikTok. And so still learning about YouTube, still figuring everything out, but having a blast while doing it.
I mean, figuring it out, like averaging 1.5 million to 2 million views a video is past I think figuring it out. Like you've seen a lot of success on the platform. Is there a reason that you haven't implemented YouTube Shorts yet?
I'm toying with it right now because right now I'm so focused on like figuring out the perfect YouTube video. I think I'm so stressed out about, okay, what is the perfect YouTube video? Do I have these intros? Do I have to do with the title and thumbnail? Do I have multiple bits? Do I have just one full video? And right now I'm so focused on that I want to kind of take one step at a time. I want every video to be kind of the same on my channel so that when you click on one of my videos, you're like, okay, like I know what to expect.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm kind of just playing around with and seeing how I can conquer this, and then I can, because I don't want to do anything half booty. I don't know if I can curse, but half booty.
You can swear all you want.
Okay, I don't want to do anything half-assed. So, I mean, I want to conquer this and then take my talents and efforts over to YouTube Shorts when I'm ready.
And so what does the YouTube team look like right now?
My YouTube team, I just literally 2 weeks ago, I hired a creative director.
Nice.
Very big move for me.
How hard was that person to find?
It was an old friend, so it was.
That's usually what happens.
And it was because otherwise it is really difficult. I know my roommate and my best friend is trying to find a creative director right now, and it is impossible. She's posting on Close Friends. She's asking a bunch of friends. She's on Indeed. She's looking around, and it's just crazy how
hardest
difficult
position
it is.
to hire right now for a YouTuber is a creative director, and there's just not that many people out there because YouTube is still so new. So it's like hiring anyone over 22 years old to be a creative director is very hard to find. And even if they are good, chances are Jimmy's hired them already. So it's like Goudreau's like finding someone because it's a really hard position. I would tell your friend just to like find someone whose mind is similar to them and just train them for a year.
They can evolve. That's what I've noticed as well is I also hired an assistant, and she was my friend since I was 5 years old. She didn't study anything that had to do with social media, but because she had a similar brain as me, she's starting to now understand this world of social media, and you're definitely able to teach people. Like I've taught her how to take just Instagram pictures, getting those angles, and everything can be taught if it's someone with a like-minded mind as you and someone who's willing to be open-minded and learn.
Yeah, totally agree. So, okay, creative director, you have a full-time editor?
Full-time editor, yeah. I do edit a lot of my videos just because right now, again, I'm still trying to figure out what works for me. And I have a very specific thought process on how I want my videos to turn out. I want it to have my personality, and editing is a massive part of making my videos entertaining because I'm not doing the craziest things. I'm not a MRBeast where I'm buying everything that you put in the circle, you know? I'm doing just kind of like everyday things that my audience can relate to and be like, oh, okay, she's not like a YouTuber. She's my bud. She's my friend. And so, yeah, I've just been doing kind of that thing. And
How long did it take you to give up the editing? Like even a little portion of the editing? Because I talk to so many YouTubers and they say the exact same thing. I'm the only person who can edit my videos. And I'm like, that's so false. Like people can learn how to edit and learn your style. I've had this conversation with so many people.
So it took a long time. At the beginning, I was so adamant. I was like, there is no way anyone else is gonna edit my videos. I would rather spend 8 hours, which is so dumb. 8 hours editing my video. That means I would be filming that, coming up with the ideas, filming it and editing it, which is such an incredible waste of time. My manager was even like, yeah, you're gonna have to like pass the torch, Pierson. Like you're not gonna have time for this. And honestly, it's something that you have to, like you're gonna have a lot of responsibilities the more success you get. And so you have to learn you're not gonna be able to do everything. You have to pass that torch, pass off those responsibilities to other people. At first, you are going to have to maybe train them, which is gonna take a little bit more effort from you, but it's gonna be worth it in the end once everyone gets the hang of it and you start getting this ball rolling.
And so you have a creative director, a full-time editor, anybody else on the production end?
And then I have my dad, actually. So he's like a genius. Like he just knows, so he's so street smart. So right now I'm having him do kind of like, just like the big idea stuff. Work with any third-party people. I'm working on getting a podcast out right now. And so I'm kind of designing this set. So he's kind of like an all-around Renaissance man.
I've found that a lot of like parents work with a lot of YouTubers that at least we work with, but there's like that level of trust. Yeah, it's something I've seen a lot.
And
like
it's
a lot
not
of parents
even
working with creators.
Yeah, and it's not even just the money part. It's also just knowing that this person wants you to succeed. They would never like be malicious towards you, be jealous of you. They honestly just want you to succeed because they know in their minds, at least through my experience, that you know your success is their success. And I think that's really important.
That's awesome. And so what's the podcast about?
Podcast,
if you can even say, yeah.
So we're thinking about calling it Nobody Asked Podcast because it's me and Nick Antonian and Adam W, which are two other creators, and we're so random. The fact that we're all being thrown together is just kind of out of left field, and that's why we like the Nobody Asked. We're gonna figure it out as we go, I think, and we've been talking about this for a really long time, so we're just excited to get in the studio and get to talking. And again, we're not very close, but we've all got a similar sense of humor, and when we are together, we just bounce off of each other so well. So we're really excited to get started on this, and just build some connections and lifelong collaborations and connections.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot here. So when's the first episode gonna be published?
I have no idea.
Really? So
No
okay,
idea.
can people at least expect to see it this year?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Okay, so you heard it here. Her podcast will be available by end of year at latest.
By the end of the year, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be entertaining. You're gonna want to watch out for it. We just don't know when.
Because the set's still being built, so we'll get there.
Yes. So we're getting there.
Awesome. How do you think about collaborations? Like who you have in your videos? Is it strategic?
It is. I will try to maintain within my my niche, which is the comedy, lifestyle, sort of thing like that. So I'll make sure that I wouldn't necessarily collab with someone who's maybe a gamer, because I've never done a gaming video in my entire life. I don't necessarily know that his subscribers or my subscribers would translate over, because the niches are completely different, you know?
Yeah. Again, like a lot of people didn't have that thought 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the thought was collab with everyone, take their subscribers, and then all of a sudden you had a channel with 15 million subs pulling 100K views a video because nobody clicks on those videos in sub box.
Exactly. And I think that's really important to know.
And you guys have a little like collective group where you
Yes.
guys film videos together. So how does that business work?
So we actually have a really great dynamic. So there's about, I believe, 10 of us, 7 boys, 3 girls, and we are constantly in each other's videos, in all videos. So what we do is, on Mondays, we have something that we call TikTok Mondays. We've got 2 different groups. In the morning, we have group 1 who films some stuff, and then group 2 films some stuff. And then every week, the people change so that you're able to get different people in your content. We'll text each other at least 2 to 3 days in advance and be like, hey, are you available Thursday at 4 p.m. for 15 minutes, 20 minutes? It's a car bid. Kind of give them a little intel of what it's going to be, what they can expect, just so it's like a respect thing.
Is the incentive for everyone to film together just so everyone grows, or does everyone have involvement in this company? What's the business dynamic of everyone collabing together?
Yeah, so business dynamic is we're not like forced to film with each other, but we enjoy it and we like it and it's beneficial.
Yeah.
So we do it. So like if I notice that people really love me and Lexi Hensler, who's my roommate, they love our dynamic, and that's just based off of like seeing my audience and what they like through the comments and stuff like that. I'll continue posting little friendship stuff with her. Like she started a new series called Pissing Off Pierson. I am Pierson, and she likes to piss me off, and the audience loves that. So, and also just having other people to film with just gives you that much more content to film. Like it broadens your horizons to all of the ideas that you could have been doing alone, but now it adds just a little bit more. And what I've noticed is people love seeing people communicate. Like I would post a video by myself, but then I'll post a video with my brother, and people just love to see us interact. People love interactions because I think it brings out a different side of you than it does when you're by yourself, just talking to the camera.
Totally agree. Is there you mentioned the podcast, is there any other projects you're working on that you're excited about?
A little bit, but I don't know if I can share.
Are they like consumer products? Is it merchandise? Like just tell us like what niche it's in.
So I'm looking into merch.
You've never had merch?
Never had merch.
Okay.
But
people also hate the word merch.
I hate it too.
We'll say apparel. We'll say you're looking at apparel.
Apparel.
There you go.
Yeah, I've been a big part of the process. I'm trying to come up with different, graphics, something that really embodies me and has to do with my colors. And what I'm kind of going for is like a little 70s vibe, because like I just love everything about the 70s. Like you look at my room and it looks like it's straight out of the 70s. You look at my pants and they're corduroy bell-bottom jeans. So like I'm trying to start branding myself, and in doing that, the apparel will help with that. So
okay, so apparel, podcast.
Apparel, podcast. That's about it. Sorry, I'm kind of lame, but
I'm gonna guess like eventually maybe something in like beauty, skincare, something in that category.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I just think that you guys have like a unique opportunity now to figure out like which brand do you build on top of this like massive audience that we have.
Exactly.
Right. That's where like I think being a creator in this like world in 2021 is really interesting. Is like, yeah, you can make money off AdSense, sponsorships, merch. And now it's like, what can you do outside of that to build like an actual sustainable company that maybe lives on past your content career?
Totally. And it's so crazy because had social media not worked out for me, my plan B was to get into marketing and possibly become an entrepreneur in whatever it is that I wanted to sell. And now I can continue doing that, but now I have an audience to kind of back it up, to kind of an audience to sell to.
Creators is like the next evolution of what an entrepreneur is going to be, because you guys, it's interesting because you have the marketing funnel figured out, which is the hardest part for an entrepreneur usually, is like finding customers. But now you guys have such an unfair advantage because you have those customers already. Now the hard part becomes like, what can I build that my fans will actually like and continue to buy or support me for? And that becomes the hard question. And then with your hiring situation, it becomes really difficult to find people that share in that vision. And so those are like the two like hiccups I've seen that creators are having, is like, one, like what product to sell. Because it's pretty easy now to like white label something, right? There's a lot of companies that do that. And then secondly, it's like, who runs the business? Like, I'm a content creator. Like, I can help with marketing, but I'm not like the CEO or COO of this business. So I think that's like what'll be really interesting, is the creators that figure that out are gonna have a lot of success.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know like
Thank you so much.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, what you guys are doing with AMP and everything else. And you're in a secret project that we have coming up that I can't talk about because this podcast will come up before that. But excited that you guys are involved, and I'm sure it'll be a crazy day. So that'll come out in December, I believe. That video will drop.
Mark your calendars, people, for all of December. It's coming.
All of it.
All of it. The whole thing.
I don't have the exact date. Also, I shouldn't say December. It might come out in January. So.
Okay, well, it'll come out eventually, and make sure you watch it.
Her podcast will be out first, and then we'll drop this other thing.
Who knows when that'll happen? Yeah. But it'll happen.
But yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.